Trucker Ride, S.E.E., and we are here in Denton, Texas, and the wife right here next to me, and we are going to discuss um, a very long procedure, uh, obstacles and hurdles that we've gone through over the course of the last going on 13 years. Multiple surgeries, and because of those multiple surgeries, and I'm just going to give you an intro and a summary, and then she's going to take it from there. But she, like I said, multiple surgeries. She's been suffering from, um, excuse me on that. She's been suffering from migraine since she was 12 years old. And with these surgeries and anesthetic, we pretty much have concluded that this has escalated her migraine suffering to a point that daily, she's living like an 8 out of 10. The medications may tamper it down to a 6 or 7, but never a 5 or under. This has been ongoing, especially for the last 4 years. It's been at its worst to the point we're making ice around the clock at home. She's living and sleeping on, 3-pound bags of ice or more on her head and neck. So we got here Sunday night after a stop in Tulsa, driving down from Michigan to Denton, and had the procedure done Tuesday morning. The wires are in, so yesterday was iffy. She has since gotten the programming dialed in better. She's had a good night's sleep. So I'm going to let her take it from here and discuss a little bit of the backstory and current situation with the wires and the transmitter and what it's how it's doing for her.
Hey guys, so as he said on Tuesday, I had this contraption set up. It was probably just like a 30-minute surgery. They did 2 leads in the back of my neck on each side, and then 2 leads right there where they make little cuts into the skin and then take a big needle and basically just kind of feed in the lines. There's a lead wire that goes pretty much from there right till about there. Same on this side. And then in the back, it kind of goes up the neck. So each of those leads is responsible for a different portion of controlling the pain. So it's basically a stimulator that stimulates the deep nerves so that it can control the migraine pain that I have. So each of those leads is hooked up to a little control box that I have right here. So that just stays in the front. It was taped on, but the tape was getting way too itchy. So the rep from the company said I could just take it off just as long as I could keep it tucked and so it wouldn't fall and have the leads be ripped out. But each of the leads are actually stitched in by a few stitches, so they don't just I don't catch it on something and rip it out. So the first night was not good. It just is more surgical pain than anything. There was quite a bit of swelling and things like that. Sometime during that night, it actually stopped working, and I'm not sure why. I think it was on too low of a setting. What they have to control it is a little iPod, actually, and there's 8 different settings where you can control each specific lead and up and down it, depending on what your pain level is at. So it wasn't until Wednesday morning that I contacted the nurse who was in the OR with me, and she also is the representative from the company
Abbott.
Abbott, that does this. So she was able to walk me through some settings, and because of the severe pain that I have, I needed to be on the higher settings that are programmed into here. So there's like
Go ahead.
7 different settings.
Just to get my face screen.
Yeah. So you go in. I'm still learning the whole thing too. So it connects directly to, takes just a second to connect. And it shows, there you go. So you basically click the green button to turn it on. You're too close. And then the blue button at the bottom is intensity. So that actually takes the intensity of all 4 up at once. And then once you get into that, it takes you to where you can then grab a hold of him. I've got Nacho on my lap too because he doesn't want to be away from Mama. So you can go into where you can control, not sure if you can see it really well, but you control left and right, back and front. So all of those things can be controlled
In a quadrant.
yeah, in different quadrants. So where my headaches are usually on the right side, I can go ahead and do, for the right side behind the eye, the quadrant is actually the lead that's in the back of the neck is controlling the eye. And then the lead here actually controls like the top of the head. So it's a little, I have to take a minute to think about that because you would think that this lead controls everything in this side, but it doesn't. So, and then the same for the left side. If you're having pain up in here, you do the lead that is right here. Anything behind the eye in that area, you crank up the lead for back there. So what was happening was they have programmed 1 through 7 in there, and I was actually down on like number 3 or 4, had it cranked all the way up, wasn't working. That's because my pain level is so severe that I had to start out up at 7. So she was able to explain some things, show me some things to do, just so that I could get it to where I needed it. So last night basically was going to be the true test because every morning, even though I have a headache 24/7, usually about 3 o'clock in the morning on until the time I wake up, including when I wake up, I usually have just an excruciating headache, usually sitting behind the right eye and on the whole right side. So at bedtime, I made sure everything was dialed in where it needed to be. I woke up about 2:45, which is usually my time to wake up with a really bad headache. And lo and behold, I had a very mild headache. So I was super pleased about that. I did take my normal 3 o'clock in the morning pain med that I can take. And I did a few adjustments on the different leads and then went back to sleep. And when I woke up at around 7:30, again, I did not have just the excruciating pain throbbing behind the eye and all over the head.
A raging headache as she normally has in the morning when she gets up to tend to the dogs and just the morning routines around the house.
Usually it's so bad that I can, barely get out of bed to take care of the dogs. So this morning it was just, I'd say a level 4 out of 10 pain when it's usually a good 9 in the morning. So that's a huge difference. So I was a little worried yesterday that it wasn't going to work for me because things weren't, it just wasn't working like I thought it was going to, because everyone that I heard said, oh yeah, it's like instant. You turn it on and boom, your headache's gone. And so I was starting to freak out a little bit. But once I got the parameters and everything dialed in with the nurse Shar, and did that last night, I was a lot happier with the results. And then today we've had storms kind of rolling in and out. Normally I would be right down in bed flat, nauseated, vomiting, and things like that. And again, that was not the case. It's just been a very low key. I still have it, which, I may or may not still have them. It just may be more manageable. So right now I still have one, but it's like, right now it's like a 3. And we just had a storm go through, so that's crazy good for me.
And a
So,
3 is something we haven't seen in over a decade. And the nurse also, the nurse said when she comes in, they will set up higher programs.
yeah, she was gonna have me come in yesterday because she was afraid that they didn't set the parameters high enough for me. When I was waiting to have surgery, because everyone's right there, other people are there right next to each other with just a curtain in between, and she's going over things with another patient, and she's like, where's your pain at, and what's your normal pain? And she's like, oh, a 5, and I'm just like, man, I beg for a 5 on any given day just to be able to still function. I mean, I can function pretty good on a 5 because I've been functioning on a 7 as my normal. A lot of times it's up to an 8, 9, even a 10 on days. And, for the last year and a half, I've been pretty much, because of pain, just not just migraine, but also arthritis and things like that. I've been in bed, packed in ice. So that's basically what my life has been. So that's why the kind of drastic measure we've taken to come here to Dallas to try this procedure. It's called the Reed procedure, and they've kind of changed their name to U.S. Migraine. So if you went to,
I've got links down in the description, and if you look in there, I put 6 different links. You will be able to find U.S. Migraine and a lot of testimonies and a lot from Dr. Reed, the founder himself. So just wanted to make sure you all had that at hand. Go on. I just wanted to chime in on that.
yeah, I had just come across it. I've had migraines for 40 years. So it's been a long trial and error and just everything, trying different doctors and specialists and clinics and medications, and it's out there. I've tried it. So that's kind of what this clinic is for. It's not just for the average, few a month migraine people. It's for if you get like 15 days of migraine a month or more. And if you've tried pretty much, everything that's out there. So for me, it was a no-brainer for them to take me on. So I had come across this
January.
just by happenstance in January, looking at some of my friends' dogs on Facebook. It was an ad that popped up. So, and thank God I did, because nobody in my pain clinic, like I said, none of the doctors had even heard of this. So it's, it's just a blessing that I came across it, because so far, as of last night, it's starting to work. It just is going to take a lot of getting used to, because they say that some people say that it feels like a light massage or a light tingling or this
Hers
and
is
that.
more
But
like tingling.
mine's more like I'm getting mildly electrocuted, to be honest. I don't say that to scare you away, but because mine is so severe and they have to still work on getting the parameters correctly, and the more I'm going here throughout the week, the more I get used to it and the more I don't notice as much. But if I move a certain way, it kind of zings me a little bit, but that's also only because these are on the outside of my head.
The external
Yeah.
lead. So I think this, myself, looking at her and listening to her going through this, I think once the permanents are in, and now, like, that's why this whole trial is going on, is so they can get a benchmark or a baseline, and they already know they're going to have to change the program. So the program she has on this iPod right now is going to be changed for the permanence, and then she'll have a whole different set of strengths on that transmitter to adjust. So, um, we're blessed, and like I said, if I'm going to spend the money and the vacations to do this, let's give you a better quality of life. Um, because the struggle was is to take a shower, to get dressed, to make a meal, to just do normal things you would that the average person would do every day around the house. This was like an Olympic training session for her to just get through the house in a day's time. Um, so we're hoping, and that's all we're looking for is just a better quality of life. Nothing that's going to put her, at a gym, CrossFit, marathon running, anything like that. Just a better quality of life so she can enjoy not only just being able to take care of herself, but to be able to go out and do the normal things in life, vacationing, when we go camping and other things that we indulge in for leisure, that this will be, I don't want to say a betterment, but she's going to look forward to it with more joy and happiness instead of just pushing through the pain every day. And I know when we get done at the end of the day, whether we're out and about or out on vacation, that she's done. If she spends a whole day pushing herself, she's down for 2 or 3 days on the back side of it. So I'm hoping she'll be able to go from day to day, bounce back the next day, and keep going. So that's what we're looking for, and I am. But I myself was amazed when she sent me all the links, and then I said, reach out to these folks, and I want to say within the first week they already had her pretty much about 80% approved through the process. So they made it very quick and painless to get through your insurance. Um, the insurance didn't even balk at this. We fought more for 5 months with the insurance getting her hip replacements 11 years ago than we did getting this done for this migraine procedure. It's just truly amazing that they made it all happen and painless. The the check-in process, everything was just phenomenal. They've done a good job, and I'm very pleased so far. So we're pleased with it. And like she said, I've been with her for a 30-day stint into a pain management migraine clinic back home in Michigan with no end results. It was just a dead end. And we were having this discussion today is like, what do we talk about today? Let's talk about things that we have been through. 30 days in the pain clinic just to have a dead end, and then the doctor, a world-class neurologist, looking at her like, don't you want to get better? And like looking at him like, are you thinking she just wants this to happen or she's faking this or something? But I said, these meds aren't working, and they were running trial meds that weren't even FDA approved yet. And I said, what's the quality of life going to be that you're shaving off her mortality because of all these meds you've been pumping through her? And I even pissed off that doctor by saying, let's stop looking at this as a physiological aspect and let's look at it as a structural aspect. Can we do an MRI? Look at, is there something impeding the neural pathways, the blood flow, anything? And, they ended up sending her out to, referred her to a neurosurgeon, and then things just went from there. So that's where we ended up with the cancer and more orthopedic problems. But to come full circle from that point, from seeing the migraine doctor at that point to where we're at today, she's been through so many orthopedic surgeries that's just kept escalating these migraines. So now we're here, and I think for the first time, other than your hip replacements, when you could get out of a wheelchair and start walking again, here we are, and she's learning to She took a nap this afternoon. That's the other thing, is her body's so exhausted from being in the pain and not getting relief that this has relaxed her enough where she was taking a nap today. I noticed she took one yesterday, and she's getting sound naps where she's getting up and saying that felt good, instead of just waking up saying, oh, I got a few minutes on and off, and then waking up in a blazing headache and, pain and, from the migraine. So,
And I slept last night fairly well. So that's one of the things I have had too with the migraines, is just not being able to sleep because of the pain. Getting maybe a couple hours kind of mid-morning. So that's been going on for years and years and years. So once I kind of got between last night and today, getting some relief, it just felt just like a big relaxation, where I could just cozy in with the dog and just take a nap and not have to worry about having a ton of ice on my head and everything else. It was just nice to be able to get a little bit of sleep, not a couple minutes, and wake up every few minutes, because of the pain or because you're going to get sick or whatever it is. So on the procedure itself, what they have you do is they do all the trials on Tuesday, where they have you come down, do the surgery, then they have you stay and do the trial for that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, so tomorrow, we have to go to see the doctor in his Dallas office, to kind of let him know how things went. And then they'll decide from there whether, you're good to go to come back. They usually have you come back, they said, in about 3 weeks to schedule to have it permanently done. And then they take these out. So they'll take this off, take the stitches out, and just slide the leads right out. So now that I've got,
they're under here above
Yeah.
our brow, but I
can
can see them.
You can see them moving.
But I don't think the permanents are going to be so.
They're gonna have them go, I think, a little deeper.
Yeah. Because remember, these are just temporaries, but the permanents aren't going to be so.
Visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So for tomorrow, when they do that, it's kind of a bummer, because you just get maybe a couple good days, and then they're going to take this away from me and send me home for 3 weeks. And so that part I'm not looking forward to, because it's just going to all come right back like it normally is. So I'm going to be most likely pretty eager to get back here to have it done permanently. Because just even today was the first day where I've had pretty good relief. Like I said, it hasn't been gone totally, and he said it may not ever be gone totally for me because of how severe they are. But, still, if I could get it anywhere under a 5, I can live with it. If I could get it to where it's kind of at right now, which is around a 2 or 3, I'd be happy. I can function and not be, having my balance off and stopping to hold on to a wall, or, stopping to take a deep breath because I'm going to get sick, or having my vision messed up, or it's a lot of things that go into it that kind of wreck things. I mean, your day to day.
Not even the blurred vision, not even able to be able to drive to do something like grocery shopping or run simple errands.
I haven't driven on a consistent basis in almost a couple of years now, just because of the pain. It was just so blinding that I couldn't concentrate enough to be able to drive even short distances, let alone long distances. I would do some short distances for close, within a couple mile doctor appointments and things like that. But after I got home, I would be like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have just done that, because I can't concentrate, and I don't want to miss a stop sign or things like that, and I would catch myself almost doing that. So it was unsafe for me to drive in that condition.
And I would notice that when she would have, if I was working and she had to drive herself to a doctor's appointment, it would she would get to the appointment, get home, and say, I'm gonna load up on my pain meds, or my migraine meds. I don't want to say pain meds, but her
My
migraine
cocktail.
meds. But she would load up on them and then try to sleep some of that off because she pushed herself through all that pain. So this is what we're hoping that won't need to be done anymore. So it's going to take many months, not only for her body to start acclimating to this device being in there and tampering this down, but also her body detoxifying from having all those meds over the years, and hopefully your liver and kidneys and all that can start maybe getting some stasis of stability and normalcy. So that's the other thing we're looking at, is just where, getting that out of her system, her body may be able to I want to say, perk up a little bit and have a little more energy throughout the day, where she's not lethargic and tired because the pain's knocking her down. Hey, also, folks, I see we got some watching here, and if you could press that like button, that would be awesome, because it'll help push the algorithm out, and definitely get this video pushed out into the system so more people can see it. We're doing this because we want to, at least on our behalf, a testimony as a couple, what we've been going through, and is it worth it for us, and for someone that has been living like an 8, 9 out of 10 with migraines alone, on top of other body ailments and surgeries. This has been so far, I knew when we stepped in this direction, it was going to be a blessing. It's not a cure-all, and that's the one thing about Dr. Reed. He himself called us he called us first, make sure we had any questions personally, and then we got ourselves. Then he had his people schedule us in, and this was in March or February.
It was March.
And they got us in pretty good. I want to say everything was in a timely fashion. We could have been here sooner. If we pushed for it, we probably could have been in the end of March, 1st of April, but we had to make arrangements and plans to make sure everything was taken care of on the home front, and that I had adequate leadway at work to be able to get the time off, because I let them know not only this week, but I said more likely 3 weeks after I come off this week, I'm going to be back off another week. So I'm kind of pushing on my employer to say, look, regardless, I'm taking these weeks off. There's not going to be any pushback because this is my vacation this year, this week and the next one.
And they've been supportive.
They have been, and I know a lot of people don't get that support with their employers, but I'm just wanting to let you know we had to plan everything ahead. We just couldn't drop and run. The one thing Dr. Reed did say to us, this is an 80% cure, or not an 80% cure. I'm sorry, 80% success rate. So 80% of the people that have had this done, they've gotten results from. 20%, it just didn't help them, and that says a lot. The one thing I liked about this is it's got a 10-year battery life. And they said she could have it done back home in Michigan, but that I told her the last couple of days, I said, you look at when you got to take medications, if your migraines up here, say a 7 or 8, and you take the pharmaceuticals, when it's up here, it's tampering it down, bringing it down. But then once that med wears off, it's climbing back up, until you can get some relief. Where this, she can just adjust the program and keep a nice basal line, and it's just slowly that basal line's been coming down on the pain level. over the last 2 days. They want this for a 72-hour period in here minimum, so they can get some data and feedback.
This procedure you can't have done in Michigan. Um, you have to come here for it. But what they were talking about was this procedure is not going to help the pain in my neck. It could, but more than likely it won't, because I've had 2 previous cervical fusions and I have a lot of neck pain as well. So the pain coming from my neck is a big concern for me, as well as a previous shoulder surgery I've had. So I have a lot of pain up in that area. And he said, give it a few months, see if once the headaches start to calm down, if it will help the neck. He said that would be an added bonus, but don't count on it. And so he said at that time, probably plan on waiting a good 6 months to see if it does help the neck. And if it doesn't, then I could go forward with having a spinal stimulator done, and that I could have done in Michigan. He said, or I could come back and have them do it here if I wanted. But that they, that can be done through my regular pain clinic clinicians in Michigan. So, but for the reed procedure, they do all that here in Denton, Texas is where we're at.
So that's what we wanted to get out there and say now, pain, for people that are suffering from this and having this. I know a lot of people are scared of surgeries. It's, pharmaceutical, you just take a pill and you bring all this down. But to have this done, a lot of people are scared of going under, and having a procedure, whether it's a knife or anything. What would you, what could you say to someone as far as pain going, as they start? What was the start and the finish going in and coming out?
It was, once you got back there, you had to wait around a while. They gave you some fluids and things like that. That was probably the worst part, was waiting. And then once you got into the OR suite, they had you lay down on your stomach because they start there first. In the neck area, they had to shave about half an inch of hair up the back of the hairline. And before they even finished that, I was out. They had medications running in my IV, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the little recovery suite thing that I had just came from, and it was done. And within probably, I'd say 15 minutes of that, the nurse had come back and they called Rod and had him come back and went over the little transmitter thing. So in case I was still a little too groggy to remember, he would be able to, between the two of us, we would be able to remember. And got dressed and we were out the door. So it was, it was super easy. Just gave you the IV, and that was it. Pretty much once you're in the OR suite, didn't remember a thing from it. So if you can endure the pain years and years and years from the migraines, you can certainly get through this with no problems.
So
definitely worth it.
So I just wanted to say, that's our story, and like she said, it's across here horizontally, but in the back, if you look at some of the links, they have an animated diagram of the wires and how they insert them in, and then where they all feed to the battery pack, and which is external right now, but
Yep.
for the permanent, everything internal. So I just wanted.
The permanent one is going to be, she said, like the size of an Oreo cookie that they implant under the skin.
It'll be just like if you were getting a pacemaker
Right.
up. Oh, sorry, but like where you put a pacemaker up here, um, it's going to be the same thing with that battery pack, and then everything's going to be under the skin. And like I said, then just like a pacemaker, they have a battery life. You just go in, and I've worked in healthcare, as I've told you, from tilt table tests, cardiovascular, stress tests, cath lab, I've sat through some pacemakers, defibrillators, watched some stents, in cardiac rehab, but just seeing that, and I said, all right, I understand all that. And to be honest, the way they run the wires down through the carotid artery, and then up through there, down into the heart, and setting your leads for your pacemaker, this isn't anything. And for her, if this is going to be and instill a better quality of life, then yes, you would rather live like this than be at the mercy of the pharmaceutical meds. The thing that we discussed today is with the geopolitics going on, the economy downturn, what happens if there's a shortage or a supply chain issue between us and China getting pharmaceuticals that you're dependent on? This is one or two meds that you could be less dependent on, that they would be just for more of emergency backup than, if something was to really tamper up badly. But she was so dependent on that, and it was just getting so far out of hand. So we're hoping, as this when the permanent's in and she's just living it, like she was saying, 6 months down the road, and her body's acclimated to that it's got it tampered down to a nice basal line, say a 3 out of 10, we're winning.
I'm hoping I could come off about 4 meds. I'm hoping. And then just keep the 2 actual migraine medications for, emergency, migraine use when it gets bad enough to take those to cut it down. Other than that, I hope that I'll be able to get off some of the what I take every day, what they consider to be migraine abortives. They really don't keep them from coming, but when I go off of them, the migraines are worse, which is a crazy thought, but they are. So I'm hoping that this might allow me to go off of some of those other meds that, I hate taking meds, so I hope that some other meds will fall off pretty soon. And other than that, in regards to procedure, I think the only thing that I dislike about it is not being able to take a shower from the time you get it to the time we have to go back tomorrow, because you can't get, these are live wire leads, so you can't get any water anywhere around it. So I was taking Cheese Man here for a little walk earlier, and it had just rained, and it looked like storm clouds were still rolling in. So I'm like, should I go around the block or not, or around the hotel or not? Because I don't want to get caught in a rainstorm either, because I think that would probably hurt a bit. So she just told me stay away from any and all water, so until they get those out tomorrow. But so that was the sucky part of it, was you can't take a shower, you can't wash your hair, you can't do any of that. So
that'll be Friday night when we get to the hotel on the way home.
So going out, we went out to a couple stores just because it's, they tell you to try and do what you would normally be doing. And I was like, what, laying in bed with ice? And he goes, you know what I mean? So because a lot of their patients are like that. But so we went out to a couple stores and walked around just to, because it's different laying in bed versus being up and walking around, on what this feels like and how it reacts and what you have to do to program it. So we did that, and people were super nice. No one was making a big deal about the way I looked or leads hanging out of my head or anything like that. Everyone here in Texas has been super nice. Um, Probably the nicest people we've met anywhere we've gone since we've been together. So it's just been amazing, the hospitality we've gotten here and just the niceness of people, even in Walmart.
Yeah.
People were.
You thought you were in church
Yeah.
when you went into Walmart. People were like getting the door, helping you get stuff down. They were saying yes, please, no, thank you,
Or
and
excuse me in the aisles if they were going
yes,
around you. It was him and I were
and
looking
the
at each other, going, "Man, where are we?"
cashier's
So,
looking at you. Would you like this bagged and that bagged? And she was so polite, and I literally stopped and when we were leaving the checkout, and I said, it's nice for once to see mannerism, and I thanked the lady, and she just like, where did she say
she came from the Bay Area.
Bay Area of San Francisco
Yeah.
in California, and she said she moved down here, and that's what she has encountered is politeness and mannerism that has been long lost in many of the areas of the United States. So we have been very blessed with that in all of our travels. And we've tried a lot of the staples here. Yep. Yeah, we've been the Buckies. Yeah, a few times. We have tried the Whataburger. We have been to the brisket burger right by the hotel here. We're at the Comfort Inn in Denton. And Denton, we're right on the other side of the highway from the University of North Texas. But we have tried different brisket burgers and stuff like that. She has done her salads. She's been trying to keep her stomach on the light side right now, and not very heavy, dense foods. But I've been just going at it like a bulldozer with the beef down here, and it's been just great. Kudos to Dustin making my hat and forming it in. I couldn't pass up a Western store a half mile away from the hotel, so I popped in there, and it probably took me all but 30 minutes to set this on the counter, and he steamed it up and rolled it the way I wanted it and all that jazz. So, been very nice, though. I-35 is right by us, and it's a parking lot during rush hour, morning and afternoon rush hours. So it is what it is when you're around big cities. And I did, just a little caveat of our, what we did while we got here. We had Monday freed up, so I drove over to the Peterbilt factory. I've got a phone number to contact someone. I'm hoping the next trip down, I'll have something on the books to schedule with them to get a factory tour if they offer it. So I am doing that for the channel. And Monday, when we came back from the Peterbilt factory, we pulled into Walmart to get supplies for the hotel room for the days we're going to be in here. That's when I saw Wade and his Kenworth cab over. I did not think about reaching in the back and grabbing my GoPro and interviewing him right then and there until after I went to drive away. So I got to get more. I had too many other things with her and all that going on going forward. I just didn't think about it. The politest guy you could ever meet, driving a truck and just out there getting groceries, him and his dog in the truck. So, like I said, just the hospitality has been it's been a 10 out of 10 thus far, and very happy. Even here at the hotel, they've made sure we were taken care of if we needed anything. So her stay and her comfort level I've been trying to work hard to make sure we're not frustrated, upset, or making sure everything is accommodating. I think the only stress we had all week,
This boy.
she went into surgery, and I didn't last but 1 or 2 minutes in the waiting room, and he lost his bananas and started howling. So the videos I did post out there of him, I'll probably have to do some shorts of him. But I took him outside, and he wailed and howled and barked and watched that front door. I couldn't keep him any happy. So they allowed him to come back in a recovery room, and he busted through the screen on the stroller and got to her, and the doctors and everyone couldn't believe it. But yeah, as long as he was kissing her on the face, then he settled down, and that was good. But that was probably the only thing. The rest of the week's been going well, and I'm happy because we have had so many difficulties with surgeries in the past. You had your thing come out on your shoulder, and your mom and dad had to run you down for
The pain pump thing.
yeah, and then we had a hip. She came out of the first hip replacement, and she was hemorrhaging bad and was in recovery for 6 hours on that. Second hip surgery, there was no lymphatic drain, and it swelled up, busted the staples on the incision, had to run her down in the middle of the night to the hospital so they can do emergency surgery. So she's had some cancer stuff, cervical fusion stuff, foot reconstruction. I had to drive her across the state so she could be cared for by her mom while I was out on the road. It's just been a journey that is just going to always resonate with us. But this one has been just banging away on all cylinders without a miss, and we're happy. Very, very pleased. I can't be happier enough that this girl just happened to stumble across this, because one thing we did discuss was what we discussed is the inadequacy of Michigan Head Neuro Clinic saying, look, meds aren't working, referring us out. And we have been in battles with doctors over being referred to another doctor or another scope of specialty. And I don't know. We went through that with the hips, not so much with the shoulder, not so much with the cancer. The cervical fusions, yes, we've been up and down with that, but just the pain management, the migraines and all that just kept falling on deaf ears, because if they can hang on to you and keep milking that insurance, that's the way I look at it. And they just keep, income producing, cash flow in their practice. And so that was my take. And that's why I was very harsh on the Michigan Head Neuro Clinic. But we are seeing good results today. This is our last full day here in the room. We're going to wrap it up here. So we got to get she's going to figure out a place to stay, and I need to start getting things wrapped or rounded up to start packing the car, because we need to be down in Dallas at 9 a.m.
Her 9 a.m. appointment.
So it's an hour. It's an hour away. But if you saw traffic coming and going, I-35 at 15 minutes before we went live was a standstill parking lot going north. So I said, let's leave about an hour and 45 minutes and allow us enough time to get down there, even if we got to sit in the parking lot and wait. But
because he's gonna have to be pottied before we go in, and
fed and all that jazz,
all of that stuff. So it's a process.
And then once she gets that removed and we get on the road, we're going to be on the road tomorrow after she walks out of that office. We're on the road heading back to Michigan. I'm going to drive as far and as long as I can tomorrow, and then finish it up Saturday, because Saturday morning I got to return. We did rent a car, and then get groceries and head in the semi, and then hit the road Sunday. I've got projects and commitments that we have at home that still needs to be addressed and done. So life goes on, life doesn't stop. So we appreciate y'all just chiming in and seeing this, whether you're hearing the live currently or if you're seeing this after. Hopefully this will help you. If you or someone, family, friend, that could use this type of information. And like I said, I picked out 6 different links, enough information that you can find these folks in Texas, get a hold of their staff, and get that interview process going to see if you're a candidate to be out here. They are pretty thorough about asking all the right questions to make sure before you just willy-nilly down here and show up at the front door. So I want to say I appreciate this woman, and I love her for just sticking through I made a video about sticking by your spouse when all else fails, and you're dealing with terminal illness. A lot of couples, a lot of marriages end in divorce because of this kind of stuff, and we have been through with this. I call this surgery 16 right here, with 17 in 3 weeks, and that's since we've been together in 13 years. So I dare a lot of folks to try that out for size and to see how well that tests your patience and your finances, because our finances have been. I think while she was in a wheelchair getting the hips replaced, we were at the bankruptcy attorney already by then. So we have really been through it all. I'm hoping this will be a blessing, and this will be a joyous, wonderful summer coming up, that she can really enjoy it for once and do the things she's been setting out to want to do. So until next time, folks, stay safe out there, continuing educating. Remember, knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.
See you guys. There, it was almost an hour.